Hey, welcome to another episode of Small Doses with Lauroselle. So, I'm back here today, uh, beating my political drum, standing on my political personal soapbox, and sharing my unsolicited 2 cents worth. So, if you're here, you might be curious about my 2 cents worth, or you might be about to click, scroll, and move over to another thing, but that's fine with me. So, anyway, I am Lauroselle, and this is my opinion. So last night I watched the press conference of President Joe Biden, uh, and I guess it was supposed to be their comeback attempt from the terrible debate for a couple of weeks ago, right? So I have been saying and expressing that yes, that was a horrible debate. It was a horrible performance, but presidents don't debate as part of their job, right? Most of us don't. So I didn't really care about the debate. And this is the reason why, two reasons why I don't care about the debate. And then I'm going to come back and talk about the press conference and moving forward. A couple of things about the debate. Number one, so yes, this time there was no audience for either side to feed off of the energy of the audience. And we know who that was really for, because we know that all he has to do is say a couple of ignorant things and his ignorant followers will cheer, and that just takes him on down his rabbit hole of ignorance, right? So that was to dispel him and dissuade him from being able to do that. They also had the silence button so that you can't interrupt the other person. Here's the problem with that. The silence button doesn't allow the audience to hear you over talking the person in the room with you, but it doesn't stop the person in the room from hearing your interruption. So while we don't get to hear the foolishness coming out of somebody else's face, the other candidate, Joe Biden, was able to hear the foolishness. So let me say this about that. Have you ever been in a discussion with someone, or an argument or a debate, dialogue, conversation, whatever you want to call it, with someone who is being ridiculous, whether intentionally to push your buttons or they just ridiculous? Sometimes you can't think, really think, because sometimes you are just stumped at the foolishness that this other person may be saying. I know I have experienced it. I mean, sometimes you could be just pure gobsmacked and not even know how to come back. I mean, you're looking at them like, because if you remember the debate, there were several times when Joe Biden did that look like, the hell? In fact, he kind of mumbled some things like that. What in the world? So, yes, their over talking was silenced for the audience, but it was not silenced for each other. And so even though everybody else can't hear this foolishness coming at you, you hear it. And it can be very distracting, especially when the foolishness is blatant lies, right? So who wants to be in a room with someone who is sharing blatant lies, just saying any old damn thing that comes up on their mind, right? So that's that about the debate. Also with the debate, the time limit. Sometimes you just don't have enough time in a couple of minutes to answer a question, right? And here's where, though they fact checked and said that Donald Trump lied over 50 times, 30 to 50 times, whatever's the number, doesn't matter, he's a liar. Even though they fact checked and said he lied, what never really happens is the news media doesn't harp on the things that he lies about. They just come out and say, well, he lied, because he's normalized lying. You know, old girl gave us the term alternative facts, right? So I don't really like to say either of their names, but you know who she is. But yeah, so alternative facts, which is a lie. So anyway, enough about that. So the debate was bad. And even though we didn't hear the distractions, Biden heard the distractions. And if you've ever been in a room with a buffoon or in a conversation with a buffoon that is saying a whole bunch of buffoonery, you just lose all your thoughts. You just don't know what to do or say, right? Now, after the debate, all of the news media, even the left-leaning news media, just started really pushing the Joe Biden needs to step down bill. Oh, they were just, Joe Biden needs to step down. He needs to move. He's got to go. And so, but here's the thing, and I said it before. Nobody ever said Kamala needs to step up. Everybody said Joe needs to step down. And then they were, oh, but who would we get? Who should we look at? They started dropping names, right? There is a sitting vice president whose job would become the president right now today if something should happen to Joe Biden. Why wouldn't she be on the top of the ticket? I've addressed it before and I'm going to address it again. The elephant in the room is America does not want, is not ready for, probably will not vote for a Black Asian woman who graduated from an HBCU to the highest seat in the land. America's just not ready for it. You got some left-leaning liberals who will say, or as Al Sharpton called them, the latte liberals, who will say, oh, yes, we will. Them same latte liberals did not vote for Hillary Clinton. They didn't vote for the white woman who was ready for the job. So you know they're not ready to vote for the black woman. And then you got your news media people who think it and can't say it. And I see you out there, my sisters and my brothers, and don't say it because we want you to keep your jobs, right? We want you to keep your job. We know you're thinking it. So those of us who are not tied to your companies will say it, because you got to realize, guys, the people that own those media companies, all of them, are billionaires, and they're looking for those tax breaks that the other guy wants to give them. So do not be tricked and fooled by the shenanigans and the foolery that is going on in front of you. Now, for the Democratic Party, who is deciding to just attack, Joe gotta go, Joe gotta go, Joe gotta go. Let's go back to 2007, 2008, when the candidate Barack Obama's message was what? 3 words. Yes, we can. They need to revive that, because if everybody gets behind Joe Biden and pushes him up the hill, yes, we can. Because here's the thing. Nobody's asking the other guy to step down. You know, the one with the 34 felonies? Nobody's asking him to step down. The guy that was talking about falling off the electric boat into the water being eaten by sharks, nobody's asking him to step down, right? The guy that wanted you to drink bleach and sit in the sun to kill COVID, nobody's asking him to step down. Not one person. The guy who was found guilty of sexually assaulting a lady in a department store, and then the judge came back and just pretty much said, well, it was actually rape. Huh? Nobody's asking him to step down. But the guy who has backed the unions even went out there and got on the picket line with them, right? The guy who is keeping the unions, the guy who has reduced your mama, your grandmama, and your diabetes medication, right, to cap it at $35. Everybody wants him to sit down, right? He has brought NATO back to a strong point. Nobody's talking about that. And let me tell you what. Okay, let's go forward into this press conference. He's in a calm environment. No buffoons in his ear, right? They're asking him very important questions about very important topics. Yeah, he gets his words mixed up. Go back and look at the footage from years ago. He's always got his words mixed up. He has a bit of a speech impediment. If you know anybody who has a speech impediment, sometimes their brain gets to moving faster than their skills that they have learned to correct their impediment, and they will misspeak some things, but they usually come back and correct it. And you saw that last night during the press conference. He was able to come back. I mean, listen, yes, he called the vice president the wrong name. Let me tell you what, for years, my daddy would call me the name of our dog. My daddy would mistakenly call me Chipsy. I have done it with my children and our pets. It happens. You just miscall somebody all the time. It happens to everybody. Sooner or later, you just gonna mess up and say somebody's name wrong. It has nothing to do with your mental faculties. It could be you just distracted in a moment. You could have been thinking about the other person. That word was on your mind. We're not going to try to defend that. Everybody listening here and not listening here has messed up and called something the wrong thing or somebody the wrong somebody. We have all done it. But anyway, so he's in a calm environment answering these questions that we know the other guy, even if the answers were written down in Times New Roman, 72 pitch on a poster board, he would not have been able to give those answers. Not intelligently, not intelligibly, because he is a buffoon and he knows nothing. In fact, earlier this week, he was saying he didn't even know what NATO was. The same guy that was dismantling it bit by bit while he was in office said this week, go look it up, that he didn't even really know what NATO was. But when he found out, he understood what it was in 2 minutes. Get out of here. Y'all gonna make me cuss. I'm trying my best not to. So one of the guys who is a part of the Lincoln Project, if you're here, you already know what that is. A group of Republicans who broke off from the Republican Party. everything in their power to stop Donald Trump. They've been around for a while and they're doing a darn good job. Basically, what he said was what the Democrats are doing. All of the Democrats who are coming out saying Joe needs to step down. He says, basically, you all are in a circle firing squad. You are killing yourselves. And you are. Because here's the thing. Better the devil you know than the devil you don't know, right? Not that I'm saying that the Democratic person would be a devil, but that's just a saying that you use. So listen, Biden is tested. He's been in the Senate. He's been on some very important committees in the Senate. He has been a vice president. He has been at the table. He is the president right now. He is moving that ball up the hill. He's getting things done for the American people. He talked about his jobs numbers the other day. He talked about foreign affairs. That other guy is in bed with the very people that we are having a problem with. They are not our allies. Even though Russia became an ally during World War II, they have gone out of their way to not really be friendly. Okay? Because they want to bring their empire back. They want to go back to being the Soviet Union. They're not happy just being Russia. They want to go back and put all them little countries back together and be this forceful empire. Why, Sway? Why do we need to be an empire in this day and time? Let everybody just do what everybody want to do. Nobody's going to think anything great of you because you absorb all of these other countries and become this great empire. You still ain't got nothing because you're a dictatorship. Only the oligarchs have anything. The regular people down there have nothing. Right? So anyway, back to the situation at hand here. Another topic that comes up, I see a lot of the young people from 2016 and 2020 who are still beating on the drum and says, we need more than two parties. We need a third party. We don't like any of the options. I said in 2016, go find out my Facebook post. I said in 2016 when they started that foolishness. Well, I won't call it foolishness because we don't have to have a two-party system. But when they started that, I said then, start your party now so that you have the ball rolling by 2020. Nobody moved. 2020 arrives, the same people. We need more than two parties. I said then, well, you didn't start your ball 4 years ago. Why don't you start it now so when 2024 comes, you'll be able to have it going? Crickets, nothing. And so what that makes me think is you throw your idea out there, but you want somebody else to make it happen. You see, anybody that's ever been on a team, a committee, a group with me, they already know. They'll tell you. Lauroselle will say, well, that's your idea. When you get it going and you got all your pieces in place, come back and let us know how we can do to help you at that point. We used to have a nonprofit organization, and it was geared toward little girls. And people would come to us and say, oh, this is a wonderful program. You should create one for boys. No, you create one for boys because you like the program and you want one for boys. You do that. I've worked in my wheelhouse. I've worked in my passion place. If this is your passion, you do it. So for all of the people who in 2016 and 2020 and any other years decided, well, we need more than two parties, make it happen. And maybe when you make it happen and you get some groundswell, because as you see, the Green Party has never really gone anywhere. The independents haven't really gone anywhere. They have to pick a side every time. And then some of these fringe people who just jump out there and decide they want to do something. I don't know who they call themselves. So far as you see, when somebody breaks off and tries to start another party, it usually doesn't take off very well. Why? Because it has to have money. And you're not going to get the big donors to come and back you. Chances are. And if you don't start that ball rolling and start getting those little GoFundMes like people do for when somebody died, they use that for the insurance policy, but that's for another topic. So do what you got to do to start your third, fourth party, whatever you need to do. But stop whining and bitching about it during an election cycle. Because at this point, guys, it's a binary decision. You're either going red or blue. You're going Democrat or Republican. Because if you stay at home or you vote for one of the other guys, you're throwing your vote to the orange guy, which is going to bring in Project 2025, which this is not that today. You can go Google it. If you have the intelligence to be here today to watch this, you have the intelligence to sit there with your Google machine. That's what I call our cell phones. Or you can go get on your laptop and you can look up Project 2025. You can even go to the library and get a copy and read Project 2025, okay? So listen. Last night during the press conference, yes, he mixed up some words, but he answered questions about foreign policy, domestic policy, about prescription drugs, about immigration. He talked about gun violence against children. Yes, and he handled every bit of it. Somebody on my Facebook made the comment, you know what? He did a good job last night on the press conference. But immediately after, the pundits were tearing him down because anything short of him running a marathon, successfully running a marathon, they're going to go after Joe, and they want Joe to stop, and they want Joe to sit down. But so I've said it before. If Joe sits down and they don't crown Kamala, a couple things going to happen. Number one, you're going to lose all your money that you've raised for the campaign because it has to be Joe and or Kamala to use those funds that have come. Joe already has all of the delegates, right? Okay. Now, so let's say Joe steps down and the Democratic Party, all the ones that's sitting in that circle, that firing squad, shooting at each other, and they don't crown Kamala. I said it before. You're going to piss off the black folk. Now, we're not a monolithic group. We have different ideas. We think differently. You're going to lose a good part of your black vote. Now, we know white folk don't care about us until it's time to vote, right? We clearly understand that. Do not get it twisted. All the parties, everybody, y'all should listen. All my wonderful friends who are non-black, listen to me. We already know. Y'all don't care about us until you need us. We got that. Check. All right? So here's what's going to happen. You're going to split the black vote. Because you're going to have the ones who are going to say, well, we know that the rest of the white people ain't going to vote for us, so we're not going to vote for either because we got to get behind somebody who's going to win. Then you're going to have the people who standing 10 toes down, going to stand on principle. I'm voting with Madam Vice President Harris because she's next in line. That's what's going to happen with the black vote right out the gate. Now, if they pick a white person, if they pick a Martian, if they pick anybody, we know white America's going to go with that. Well, let me just say that. They just going to go with him if it's a white person, and specifically a white guy. And you know who said this a long time ago? Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley threw that warning out there that the next in line is Vice President Harris. And when she said that, even the Democrats who try to fool themselves like they're not sexist and that they're not racist started quaking in their boots. And they were like, oh, hell, Nikki's right. What is we gonna do? What? 2 in 1 century and one of them's a woman? We can't do that. Now I know I'm making some people angry because y'all don't want to face the cold hard truth. But when you're a little black girl raised in the South, you just see things for what the things are. You can say that ain't what I see, but I see what I see. And even when one of the pundits brings up Kamala's name, somebody else changes the conversation back around to, well, yeah, but. I was in a conversation with somebody, and basically they said Kamala needs to fall on her sword and just step out the way. But even if she does, the money goes. Are they going to be able to gather that much money again? Are they going to be able to get those many donations again? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But what I do know is this. We need to go back to the message from 2007, 2008. Yes, we can. Si se puede. We need to get back to that message. Yes, we can. Si se puede. We need to get back to that message because we can. We can all get behind Joe and push him up this hill because there is a plan in place. If something should happen and Joe wins and then Joe cannot carry out his duties, there are things in place, guys. And he would be followed by his vice president. But again, that's the elephant in the room. The vice president is a black female, and America is not ready for that. That's just the bottom line. I call them like I see them. So I have no idea what is going to happen. I hope that since Joe has said, and this is the other thing, Joe said early in the week he wasn't going nowhere. Why y'all keep asking Joe what he planned to do? I'm going to just say it in the black woman way. I said what I said. I can show you better than I can tell you. The man said he wasn't going. He sent a letter to Congress and told them, I'm rolling with myself. I'm going ahead. And then y'all keep asking, well, it's up to Joe to make a decision. Sound like to me the brother made a decision. I don't know about you, but when I said what I said, I meant what I said. What about you? When you say what you say, do you mean it? I mean, I do know some people who question themselves and they're like, well, I don't know. I think the hell with that. Joe wasn't questioning nothing. Joe said, when they bring me the stats and show me that I can't do it. And so here's the thing. There are no stats that say Joe cannot do it. What we have is a bunch of, punk ass Democrats who can't do like the Republicans and get on message and get on point and push their guy through. Because the other team has a felon. You can't even serve in the armed forces if you're a felon. But he'll be the commander in chief if he wins. In some states, you can't even vote if you're a felon. But his ass can run for the highest office in the land. Make it make sense now. You see, because a whole lot of these laws and rules and things was really about my people. It really was. A lot of those rules was in place for black people because they didn't expect we was going to ever be a commander-in-chief and be running for no offices when they came up with the part about you can't vote. So they didn't even cover the part about running for office because they were like, we just got to stop them from voting. They didn't think, oh, God, they're going to run for office. We didn't cover that. Trust and believe. A whole lot of states and the federal government soon will be coming up with some laws that will cover that if you have a felony, you cannot run for office. It's going to happen now. Provided, oh boy, don't get in. Right? So stop letting the media drive your decisions for you. I have had to turn it off. I watch a few minutes a day versus when I used to watch lots of it a day. I've had to turn it off because, let me tell you what, I know to be true. They gave us the orange guy the first time around. Hillary didn't get half the coverage she got. Every time that ass did a tweet, all night long on the news, you see tweet, tweet, tweet from the other guy. Tweet, tweet, tweet. I mean, in the middle of the day, you could be watching somebody cooking show. News break, the orange guy just tweeted, ... They stopped all manner of TV shows to take you to every rally that fool had. They even had the rally where old 999 Herman Cain was sitting in the audience. And then a couple of weeks later, that joker was dead from COVID. Right? Ain't nobody had a vigil for him yet over there on the other side. But he was riding and dying with them till he died with them. And they just let that go unnoticed, right? So that shows how much they really care about their people. Yeah. So listen. Don't let the media drive your thoughts because that's who gave us the orange guy. Because guess what? If they had never aired his tweets and they weren't following him around the all office, see, they followed him because they couldn't believe it was happening. And it was sensational and it was driving the ratings because everybody at home was watching because they were like, they couldn't believe it. Can you believe that's what that fool said? Can you believe it? So they kept airing it because everybody kept questioning, can you believe what the fool said? Yeah, the fool said it. Yeah. And so he's radio silent right now because he doesn't have to say anything else because it's already known that he's a fool and he's a liar and that he has no subject matter experience or expertise about anything. Even his golf buddy says he cheats. Right? So it's a binary decision, guys. I've gone over my regular time for small doses. This was a little bit bigger than a small dose. This was a dose and a half. I didn't intend to stay here, but I am very passionate about this thing. I am very disgusted with our national media, all of the outlets. I'm very disgusted with them because they are pushing the narrative. They are the ones that are freaking people out, that are making people say that they are not riding with Biden. But let me tell you what, they can prop him up like Weekend at Bernie's. I'm riding with Biden. He could show up in a diaper eating applesauce with no teeth in his mouth. I'm riding with Biden until he says he's not riding. Okay? Why? Because the only alternative is a buffoon. And there's no way in hell I can vote for a buffoon, support anything that happens on that side. And I'm going to be very concerned about the nation. But I would tell you what a good friend of mine says on a regular basis. A good friend I happen to be married to says, you deserve the government you vote for. Unfortunately, some of us have to live with the government other people voted for. So what does that mean? That means all the hillbillies and coal miners and folks that's going to jump on that maggot train and vote that way, they always vote against their own interests. And then they turn around and get mad and want to say things like, well, the minorities took my job. The minorities ain't took shit from you. It's the people you elected that's taking things from you. But you don't realize it. What did that guy say in 2015? I love the uneducated, yet all of his children are educated. He himself holds a degree. He brags about the uncle that worked at MIT back in the 1940s. He even claims to have some of that intelligence. That's so funny. He said he loves the uneducated. Why? Because he know you're not going to fact check him. You're just going to take him at his face value at whatever the heck he says. So basically what the buffoon was saying was, I like buffoons because when we get together, we make a lot of noise, we hoop and holler, and we don't get shit done. Anyway. It's been another episode of Small Doses with Lauroselle. I have to tell you, the episode that I had intended to air today, I will hold off and it will air next week. But I felt I really needed to speak about the press conference immediately after the press conference. Y'all, we got a binary decision to make. We got two choices. Government as we know it, where we could continue to build on it, improve on it, make laws and legislate new things and ideas. Or Project 2025, where they're going to close your public education. They're going to close down a lot of GS jobs, government jobs. They're going to shut down Head Start. Who does that benefit? Who goes to Head Start, right? So all of the programs that really help and protect the small guy, the minorities, the black people. And yes, I separated black people from minorities because our struggle ain't y'all struggle and y'all struggle ain't our struggle. Even though we had some common struggles, it ain't the same. Learn your history and you'll understand what I'm saying. But anyway, so I'm out of here, guys. As I said back in the 70s, peace, love, and chicken grease, right? And if that doesn't work for you, live well in good health. And I will see you the next time on an episode of Small Doses with Lauroselle. Make sure you're registered to vote. Bye.